Welcome to Soup Crafts. I am Soup, and today we're going to revisit Door 23 from our 2025 Crafty Advent Calendar from Spellbinders. Do you remember which one that was? It was the roller skate. But for today's project, we're only going to need the boot base, the boot top, the lace, and the bow for the lace. For this project, I'm going to use a Hero Arts square stencil. This one is called Into the Woods stencil. We will also be using this stamp set from Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. It is number THMM162. It's got a lot of great sentiments. And we'll also be using some Prismacolor colored pencils. I'm going to start out by stenciling my base. I'm going to use walnut stain. My base is cut to 2.5 inches by 3.5 inches, and I've rounded the corners. I want my path to be fairly dark. You're going to want to stick around to the end because I'm going to show you a bonus project. Spoiler alert, it is not an ATC, but more on that later. Here's the reveal. Now I don't want this to be such a stark difference between the card and the background, so I am going to go over it with some vintage photo. I really like this rotating surface because it helps for me to not get the back of my projects so smudgy, which I did not use on my bonus project, so maybe I'll show you the back. It's pretty smudgy. I've grabbed some of my colored pencils and I'm going to color in the elements on this stencil. I've got grass green. I'm not trying to get these perfect, and I don't mind if some of the brown shows through. Apple green. I didn't know what these were. My husband told me that they are plants that kind of curl up and that they're green. Parma violet. For the flowers, I'm just drawing a circle in the middle and then coloring in the petals. Poppy red and orange. Next, I'm going to use some of the walnut stain on the boot tops. And I'm just going to hit the heel, the sole, and the toe. I'm going pretty heavy on the heel because I like it that way. Now it's time to assemble our boots. I used craft cardstock for the boot tops. This is why I like to give myself lots of wiggle room. Okay, now this assembly is just like we did with the roller skates. And then I'll do the other one. Now it's time to figure out our placement for our sentiment. For this one, my sentiment says, "Live your story." I used a different sentiment on each one of these. I'm just going to make sure that's not going to stick anymore, and it is not. I think that I actually want that down just a little bit more. Okay, right there. I'm going to use black ink on this, drawing from the boot laces. I don't want to push hard on this because I don't want my letters to get squishy. Okay, I feel like that looks pretty good. Okay, now we're just going to assemble our card. I'm just going to arrange the boots on there how they look pleasing to me. I'm going to say about like that. I'm going to take this one off and kind of keep in mind where this one is at. I want to glue the boot that sits on the bottom first. The second boot kind of sits on top of the first boot, and so I've got a scrap piece of the craft paper that I used for the boots, and I'm just going to cut some strips to put along the back of the heel and along the bottom. Now I want to check this fit right away before this glue dries, just in case, because these papers will prevent how far down I can get that, and I can see that that's too far down. And so I actually want to cut this a little bit thinner. There we go. Now my boot's sitting a little more where I want it to be. Now I'll just put glue on my craft strips and the top of my boot where it's going to sit on top of the other boot. Now there's just one thing left to do, and that's to add my little white dots to my mushrooms. So I've got a white gel pen. It's a Jelly Roll 08. Here are all of the ATCs. We've got Collect Beautiful Moments, Lost and Found, Give Yourself Permission, and here's the one that we made together today. Go out there and live your story. And here's the bonus project. It's an A2 card. It says, "Happy Sweater Weather," and then when you open it, it says, "Leave your worries behind." And here's the smudgy back. If you want to learn more about this card, there's a link in the description to a video where I show you how to make it. Thanks for watching. Bye.